All right, welcome everybody to Crown Council Live. I am Stuart Anderson. It is March 9th, and we've got a great show ahead of us today. We're grateful for all those who participate and who are part of the program. This show is all about connecting our community. It's about hearing the stories from our resource partners, to our members, to team members, everybody that connects us as a community and as a group. We're grateful for these birds which flock together, this great group of eagles. So big thanks for everyone tuning in, everybody watching, and obviously all those who are part of the show today. We've got a few recorded segments where we're going to jump back and forth. The first one is a recorded segment that came to us from the summer. Super grateful for our TOPS team, our group of coaches, and Darcy Wilson, who joins us on this first segment with Dr. Blake Cameron. So we're going to jump to that, hear what they are doing, and hear some advice about what's going on in Dr. Blake Cameron's life. All right, take it away. All right, welcome to Crown Council live stream. This is a recorded segment. I'm Stuart Anderson. Howdy, guys.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Darcy Wilson, Blake Cameron, grateful to have you guys. They're downtown in Salt Lake City, so we're in the same city in different rooms, but they are participating in TOPS's Total Immersion program this morning. How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah.
You've been before, Blake?
Yeah, this is our second time. It's been a few years.
Okay.
Dr.
Maybe
has the entire team here today.
Oh, nice. Have you taken your whole team before, Blake?
I did. It was a smaller team about 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Very good. Maybe explain to everybody, what is total immersion? Why would you go? Why would you take your team? Why would you take your team back?
So, I mean, what I consider total immersion is a great kind of heavy 2-day dose of culture, of how to treat each other, how to treat people, how to be speaking the right language as we interact with each other and our patients. Bringing them back, like any other system we implement over time, certain things start to loosen up, get a little wiggly, time for a refresh. And I mean, it has been about 5 years for us. So we've got, I think, 4 of our team members that were here last time, and the rest have been new with us since the last 5 years.
Very good. Darcy, you're coach for TOPS.
I am, and I'm Dr. Cameron's coach.
Yep.
Oh, nice. When somebody says, should we go to Total Immersion? Why would I go? What's up? What do you tell them?
Well, it's interesting because for people who have been here before, I tell them that it aligns back into culture and team members. And then for the newer ones, it's all brand new, right? It's the understanding what the emotion is behind the services. And just like Steve Anderson says, there's really nothing in dentistry our patients want. It's the emotions they receive once they walk out the door. And to teach team members that is the biggest hurdle, I believe, today.
And it gives you a chance to step back. Any doctors that try to create this experience on our own in our office, we're going to fail. Simply by virtue of where you are. There's some magic to stepping out of the office, getting your team to a new place, hearing it from someone who's not you and who does a better job at it than you do, because they do it all the time. You just can't replace it.
I love that. Maybe one thing you've learned, Blake, at Total Immersion.
So just this morning, reviewing, that we make our decisions emotionally, and then we justify them with logic, and going through examples and watching the lights click on in my team members' eyes as we talk through those, so they can all see themselves in an experience like that.
Yeah.
I think it's powerful.
You're saying that patients don't want a root canal, Darcy? Is that what you're saying? Patients?
They don't. And when you hear them or guilt them into doing their treatment, there's a reason why they don't commit to it or say yes to it.
Yeah.
It's the emotion, what they feel.
Blake, is there power in gathering together with other practices? I just kind of want to get your opinion on that.
I think for sure. I mean, there are plenty of, I think, Crown Council doctors that may be solo practitioners. I've got 2 doctors with me, but there's something powerful with surrounding yourself with others who have a similar desire and fill a similar role. So for me as a doctor, going and rubbing shoulders with the doctors, there's a handful that I see at the annual event each year that I love seeing. We interact occasionally outside of the annual event, but most of it's there. And then also for my team members to rub shoulders with other dental assistants or dental hygienists that are not just outside their office, but also outside their area, right? Like for us in Cache Valley, Small Valley in Utah,
right?
you tend to hear what everyone around you thinks. And it's nice to break out of that and have like-minded, positive, focused people.
I like that. Very cool. Darcy, what are you working on? What's the biggest challenge right now as a TOPS coach? Whether
Well,
it's in Blake's office or other offices, what are you seeing right now that you're really working on?
really, it's entropy, to be very honest. Systems that should be in alignment that kind of just fizzle and fall apart, and it's bringing it back into alignment. No one really knows why entropy happens, but it does. And then the second one, I believe, across the United States is being an unrestricted provider. So even Dr. Cameron is going through those questions: should I or should I not be contracted with certain plans? And you've had a very successful transition this year.
Yeah, we have.
Nice. Do you want to share just a minute about that?
So we've had a wonderful problem of growth, and having more than we can handle in spite of building a new building and bringing on another doctor. So it's been the right time for us to start looking at keeping the patients who want to see us because they want to see us, not because we are cheaper. So we've been exiting many networks. I think 3 years ago, we were in probably 30 different networks, and now we're in about 5 and about to trim off a couple more. So for us, the answer for now is going to be to stay in a small number of them that we've been able to negotiate with, but it's impacted huge our ability to create experiences with our team because we're not worried as all of the other financial pressures that happen. We're in control, which has been so nice.
Yeah. Tough transition. Kudos. Good job.
Nice.
Okay. Well, they're missing the meeting. They took a break, so I'll let you guys get back. But thanks for joining. Any final thoughts?
No, glad to
Nope.
be here. Thanks for inviting us on that. What is it? The TOPS Corner for
Top
Thursday.
Coaches Corner. Yeah, we're grateful to connect with not all of them, but most of the TOPS coaches are in Salt Lake at Total Immersion. So next week we'll connect. I believe we're going to Alaska next week to connect with the team there. So grateful. Thanks for both.
I've got one last thought for you, Stu.
Yeah.
Any doctors that are listening who don't have a coach of some kind, it doesn't have to be TOPS. I'm obviously biased towards them, but if you don't have a coach, there's a whole lot you're missing, and it's worth whatever time or money you need to spend to get it, because you don't know as you don't know.
I love that. Thank you.
Thanks, Stu.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Have fun. See ya. All right. Super grateful for our TOPS coaches as they're out and about all across the country, helping teams develop and create a culture of success in their practice. Thankful for Darcy and Dr. Blake Cameron. Next, we are going to hear from one of our great resource partners, Viora Med. We're thankful for them. And if you've been to the annual event in the last couple of years, you have to know this company. They have the most hoppin', is that a good word? The most hoppin' booth. Everybody wants to go and see Viora Med. They're there using their products, giving facials, doing all the things that Viora Med can do inside your practice, which is what we're going to talk about with them. And grateful for Viora Med and their part of being the Crown in the Crown Council. So thankful to them and all that they are adding to your practices and to your patients' lives. So let's hear from Viora Med. Thanks. All right, welcome to the Crown Council live stream. Stuart Anderson here. Sally Bevins, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. Sally's broadcasting live from Florida. Do you want to tell them where you are?
Yeah, we're at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando, Florida, for our national sales meeting.
Very cool. And Sally is coming to us from Viora Med. Previously, Viora Med, you just told me, acquired by Sinclair. So is that what we call you officially now?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Sinclair is now our parent company. We actually we have a number of different manufacturers that Sinclair has acquired. So it's usually when you talk about acquisition, it gets a little scary and you worry about it changing the culture of the company, but they actually acquired us for the culture that we have. And it's been
Nice.
a really awesome last 8 months for sure.
Very cool. And if you've been to the annual event, you have seen what was previously Viora Med's table. Impossible to miss. There's always a huge line. Everybody wants to know what you are doing. It is so, whenever we get home from the annual event, Spencer and I just laugh, like there is no bigger buzz than, sorry to the other resource partners, than what is happening at your table. It's just fun. It's new. I think everybody wants to know and have what you do in their practice. Even our partners over at Zions Bank were saying that people were lining up at your table, purchasing the products, the devices, and then just they're walking straight over to David Kirby at Zions and figuring out financing to make sure that they can get your products in their practice. So
Yes.
it was very fun to see.
I'm
But,
sad this is my first one that I haven't been to in several years, and I sent in my best team, but yeah, Spencer always says every year he was like, you missed it, but this year, but it was busy as always.
It was very busy. And I would love to have you, let's just first have you share what you do, what you would offer for a dental practice. And then we can talk about some fun educational things or things that you're seeing in practices that are most successful. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let's do it.
So a little bit about Sinclair, previously Vuora. Now we are actually both energy-based systems as well as injectables and threads. So we're poised to be one of the largest aesthetic companies in the world, but we, in the US specifically, and actually in some other global markets, we are the #1 provider of aesthetic technology to the dental sector. So for dental offices that are looking to implement facial aesthetics, consider becoming a dental spa, if you will, cash-based revenue opportunities. We come in with a total solution, and now with a massive Rolodex of not only devices, but also, like I said, injectables and threads.
Very cool. And from your point of view, from your perspective, why would a dental practice, I mean, you already mentioned it a little bit, but let's say a dental practice comes to you and they say, we're thinking about doing this, but I don't really know. I mean, what do you say to that practice?
It's not for everybody. But what I've learned is that it changes the feel of the practice. It changes it changes staff morale. It changes the way the patients look at the dental practice. Instead of, my husband's a dentist, so I can say this, they tell the patients will tell that I hate coming to the dentist, but when you add aesthetics to the practice, it's a totally different story, right? So I think the biggest thing too is everybody's a little afraid. It's something new, it's something that they don't know about. And because we are a truly turnkey solution to this, we bring everything to the table, all of the training, the certification, the marketing, the support, long-term post-sale support. We outsource we've actually worked with My Social Practice to help provide a totally turnkey marketing solution with the implementation of the device. We're actually also working with a company called Projected Growth Consulting as well, who will physically help launch the devices for them. So it's a lot easier. One thing I will say too about dentists, they're very detailed oriented in their approach to what it is that they're doing. They always try to think it all the way through from start to finish. And that's something that over the years we've learned to help with, because we do provide a complete turnkey solution.
Very cool. And before we started talking, you were sharing a bit about some of those educational tools that doctors are provided. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things we found was that, dentists and their teams, they want to know more about it before they make the jump. Right. And so we went as far as to become ADA CERP recognized. So we're an ADA CERP provider. And we provide CE courses on the main modalities in energy-based medical aesthetics. We have 2 of those. There are 19 CE courses this year. The first is in April in New York City, actually at our corporate office.
Nice.
Our showroom. And then we're holding the first ever Dental Beauty Boss. So we've done Beauty Boss in the past, geared towards aesthetic professionals that have implemented or are looking to implement aesthetics into their practice. But this is specifically for dental. So we'll have dental professionals that have already done this. We'll have dental professionals that have just gone full Monty. We have one practice that has a full-blown med spa. And we'll be talking about things outside of what Vuora Sinclair Vior has as well. So we'll have Dr. Richard Myron there talking about biofillers, which is huge right now in the industry. We'll have a whole bunch of practice development, marketing, consulting, that kind of stuff there as well. So again, 2 big CE events, but really, really exciting for us, this Dental Beauty Boss. That'll be in June 24th and 25th in Dallas.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
One more quick question. Most dental practices, as you probably know, they only get to see their own dental practice. You know, they don't, the scope of what is happening and what makes other practices successful, but you get to see hundreds of practices week to week. You get to communicate with dental practices. What are maybe 1 or 2 things that you see the best dental practices doing when it comes to either your own personal product or just something that you've observed?
Staff education, and really the staff is who drives it. I mean, in my husband's practice, he's got a bunch of young, forward-thinking girls, and they love getting the treatments, and they're the ones talking to the patients about, they're the ones in with the patients most of the time too. So they're the ones talking about it and driving it, incentivizing their team too, right? Sales incentives, commissions, goals, KPIs to get to, and then being awarded for it. And then patient education too. Allowing us and our team to come in and help educate the patients, help with events, kind of really let them know, because, there is still that stigma. Oh, a dentist can do Botox and dermal fillers. A dentist can do facial aesthetic. Yes. And in fact, they're some of the best injectors in the world. So there is no better place for you to get your facial aesthetics done with somebody who knows the facial anatomy better than most doctors out there. Right. So, I think staff education and incentivization, and then also patient education.
Very cool. Great advice. Cool, Sally. I am going to navigate to the Crown Council website where they can communicate with you and connect with you. Obviously, your website is a great place to go, but I'll include that here as soon as we wrap up so everybody knows how to get in touch with you. Is that the best way to do it? Is there another special way?
Yeah, no, the website's perfect. It's got all the information on it.
Okay. All right. Enjoy Florida.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks so much. Kay, see ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Super grateful for Sally and the time that she spent to be with us talking about Viora Med. This next segment is a recorded segment that Steve and I did with Dr. Alex Otto. You'll hear from her. This is a Mentor of the Month recording that we did with her that we wanted to share here on the live stream. Some really fun information about her practice, her journey, and her story. So I will let Steve and Dr. Otto take away the next segment.
Welcome to the Crown Council Mentor of the Month. I'm Steve Anderson here with Stuart Anderson. Hello, Stu.
Howdy, Steve. Thanks.
And our special guest today, Dr. Alex Otto, or Alexandra Otto, if I'm being 100% totally proper. And Dr. Otto has the Kids Tooth Team, which is a pediatric dental practice based in Austin, Texas, that we'll talk about. And as a 10 under 10 recipient from the ADA, which is an annual award they give top 10 dentists that have been out of school under 10 years. Is that right, Alex? How that works? Yep. Which is a very prestigious honor and well-merited, especially when you understand everything that Alex has done to get where she is today. So Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thanks in advance for your willingness to share your wisdom with us today. So first off, tell us about 10 under 10 and what that's all about.
Yeah, so 10 under 10 is just about celebrating dentists in the profession that have, given back through leadership, through, just community involvement, who have had, some unique pathways in dentistry. So I feel really, just fortunate to be among that group this year that was awarded this. And a lot of it is, what we've done with Kids Tooth Team, the pediatric dental practice that my husband and I co-founded. And a lot of it was also about our Kids Tooth Team Outreach, our nonprofit organization that we founded. So doing some, unique things with combining private practice and public health mindsets to better serve our community. And so, really honored to have been selected this year. And there's some of my good friends that are also among the 10 this year. So it's fun to be included with them.
So we're gonna come back to everything that's happening currently, and let's take a step back. real quick. All the way to dental school. Usually most people, when I talk to them, it's, I graduated from this dental school and we move on. Your story is very different. Dental school for you was very, very involved. You were president of ASDA nationally.
Vice president, yeah.
Everybody's familiar with the American Student Dental Association. So you were the national president of that during dental school and did a lot of things in your dental school involvement. So walk us through highlights of dental school and, biggest things that you did and biggest lessons learned.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I was actually the national vice president, but we had a really wonderful president that year. And one of the biggest achievements of my dental school is something that getting involved with ASDA really set the course of my career. Getting to meet some leaders in the ADA, the Academy of General Dentistry, really just set a different path for like the dentist that I became. In general, I felt really lucky to go to Virginia Commonwealth University School of Dentistry. Our school and our clinicians and our faculty really focused on, let's make you the best clinical dentist that you can be in this short amount of time that we have you. Their goal for all of us was, at the end of these 4 years, you should be able to go out and be a dentist and start your practice and have those clinical skills. Which I didn't realize how important that was when I was in dental school until I got out and realized there were some schools that people really didn't feel comfortable going and being a dentist after 4 years. And a lot of my classmates started their own practice right out of dental school or just went in straight into private practice. And so I really just feel super grateful and not even really knowing, when you're applying to dental school, that was something to look out for. Great faculty. They were just really understanding and supportive of my desire to be involved in leadership in dental school, which some dental schools won't let their dental students run for the executive committee of ASDA, because I was away 80 days of dental school my 3rd and 4th year, just attending these meetings, participating in this process. And so for them to be accommodating of me, making up tests and making up practicals and all that stuff, I just was super, super grateful to them. Even before dental school, I went to a program. It's called Summer Medical and Dental Education Program. I think it's called Summer Health Programs now, at Columbia. And my mentor there was the president of National ASDA during my, when I was a pre-dental there. And so even this was 2nd year of undergrad, he started telling me about ASDA, getting me involved as a pre-dental, so that when I got to dental school, I already knew all about what ASDA was, what the ADA was. And so it felt like I really kind of had a leg up on understanding, that process right when I got in. So I ran for a national leadership position my 1st year of dental school, and I ran for trustee against some 4th year dental students. I think they thought I was crazy. I did not win that election, but they did appoint me to a different role as just a member at large through ASDA. And then through that process sort of built up, different leadership positions. I was the national chair for the council on membership for ASDA. I helped start some pre-dental positions. So now pre-dental students can have national leadership positions in ASDA, which is really cool. And then became one of the national vice presidents my 3rd and 4th year of dental school. Really they taught me so much about professionalism and ethics in dentistry, which we don't get in dental school. You don't get some of the basics. You're supposed to respond to an email within 24 hours, or this is how you interact with other professionals, literally. And I interview so many dentists, and that's something that I look out for. Are you responding to me in a professional way or timely? And Nancy Honeycutt, who's the executive director of ASDA, was really the first person that was just these are the things that you do to act like a professional. And it's just such common sense now, but you realize unless someone tells you those things, you just don't, you don't realize, how important it is. And so just really grateful for some of those really basic professionalism, lessons that she taught us. And then just learning from the other leaders, learning from ADA leadership, just the importance and the value of, advocating for our profession, being involved in that process and how you get involved in that process. Just so grateful I got to learn so much of that really early on, and get appointed to some ADA roles right out of dental school was just amazing way to start to my career.
I suspect you may have been the president of your kindergarten class.
I was the 4-H president, and I have no interest in any sort of agricultural thing. I think I just wanted to be the president of something.
There you go. I love it.
Alex, are you self-made in dentistry, or did you have a big influencer that brought you into dentistry?
I knew no one in dentistry.
Really?
My mom said I loved my dentist when I was little. Like I would just come home singing about the dentist.
Huh.
And I still like very vividly remember being like 3 or 4 years old, them putting nitrous on me and just like telling me I was doing a really good job and they were so proud of me. And like that memory sticks with me like every day at work. I'm like, these little kids, like they remember this and they know. And if you can make them feel good about being here and tell them that you're proud of them, like these are things that will last like their lifetime. And so not necessarily like getting into dentistry, but definitely people who affected just like my work ethic and, you know, those kind of things that help bring me to be the professional that I am for sure.
Nice.
Straight out of dental school. So what was the first move out of
Yeah.
dental school? What did you do first?
Yeah, because I was away so much with ASDA, which again, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, but didn't really get the opportunity to do as many like externships or really figure out what part of dentistry I really loved. So I decided to apply for a general practice residency. I also had no idea where I wanted to live. And so I just kind of like applied to general practice residencies all over the place. I grew up going to Colorado every year with my family. And so applied to a couple of programs in Denver and ended up picking Denver Health Medical Center as the program that I wanted to go to and ranked #1. I thought I would like working with kids. I was camp counselor growing up and, you know, I always loved kids, but it's definitely different, like being a kid's dentist versus like liking kids. Really trained the, general practice residents. I also got more exposure to like endodontics, crowns, and I really just thought Denver would be a fun place to live. So yeah, ranked them #1, really happy to have gone there. Realized during that year that I really did like working with kids, but at this point I was so much in debt and I was just ready to start working. And so, yeah, decided to work as a general dentist for a little bit in Denver after I finished my general practice residency.
So fun fact, which you and I have not discussed, is that one of the projects we do through the Smiles for Life Foundation is we build what are called child life zones in children's hospitals all over the country.
Yep.
And they're medical free play zones that are managed by Child Life, which is a department in children's hospitals.
I'm familiar with that.
And one of those is at Denver Health.
Oh, I love that. I know we had child life specialists. That was the first time I was introduced to like that profession or that concept. And I always thought it was amazing, but I didn't realize there was a whole area. So
Yeah,
that's
we did.
incredible that
We
you
did
do
one
that.
at Denver Health. I'm trying to remember how many years ago it was that we opened that with Garth Brooks and Troy Aikman. And it may have been a year or two before you got there, but that I have been in Denver Health.
Yes.
Have you, so
Yes.
very good. All right. So from the Denver Health, what came next?
Yeah, so I during that year met my husband Tim, and he's from Denver, has lived his whole life there. I was under the impression that we would live in Denver forever, which I was very happy with. And I after I worked as a general dentist for a little bit, realized that setting wasn't quite the right setting for me. Applied to some pediatric dentist office that it was a specialty owned. They only had like board certified pediatric dentists working there, but I applied anyway. And I was like, hey, I'm not a pediatric dentist, but I love working with kids. If you're willing to mentor me, I think I could be a great fit. Super lucky that they took me on, trained me to think like a pediatric dentist treatment plan, train me in sedation. I got to do all of our full mouth rehab cases in the office. Learned so much of this practice, and honestly probably would have spent my whole career there if we had stayed in Denver. But Tim got a great job opportunity moving up in his company. He was at that time in a Fortune 500 electronics industry company, and the promotion required that we move to the Dallas area. So back in 2015, we moved down to Dallas, and for his career. And I found a group practice there that was a pediatric group practice. They had, when I started, 5 locations. I think they have 12 now. They just sold out to a bigger company. But yeah, went from in a small family-owned group practice where I would see maybe 15 or 20 kids a day into this huge pediatric group practice where I would see 60 kids a day, do 2 or 3 sedations every morning. Yeah, so it was this huge. I just remember coming home and not being able to talk to anyone for an hour, just needed to get my thoughts together. And but really, I picked up my clinical skills. So I got so much faster. I was able to, just treatment plan quickly, have definitive thoughts on what I was thinking when I would see someone. Really learned a lot about team leadership because I would wake up every day and go to a different office and work with these different teams. And so to kind of gauge a group of people that I maybe hadn't met really quickly and figure out how we can interact and work well together. Learn some really valuable things about working in a really fast-paced group practice like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You can, so after Texas, this is
Yes.
where we're getting to Austin, but we have to take a little
More
detour
stops,
before we
yes.
get back to Austin.
Yes. So after I worked at this group practice for about 2 years, like I said, there were some really great parts of it, but there are some aspects of like the customer service or the patient experience or the working there as an associate that I just felt like, there's things that I feel like we could improve or, just work upon. And I would come home and talk to Tim about these every day. And, he's not in the dental profession. He like knows 2 dentists other than me before we met. And he would just, he had his whole mindset of, I would tell him the things that I felt like we were having problems with. He's like, well, why don't you think about it this way? Or why don't they do it this way? Or, aren't dentists like, he just couldn't understand why none of us are business savvy or like customer service oriented. And, so we kept talking about like for years we would do this. And it finally got to the point where Tim was moving up in his career. He was leaving like 250 days a year traveling. He was a national account manager. And we got to the point where, we wanted to start a family and we didn't want him to be gone so much. And I was getting to the point where I felt like I could do this on my own and be a great clinical dentist and have my own practice. But I really didn't know a lot about the business part of it. And that it did intimidate me. And I wanted it to do it well. And I just didn't feel like I could fill all those roles well. So we got to the point where we're like, what if we do this together? You run the whole business part of it. I'll do all the clinical, obviously dentistry. And we kind of got this vision in our mind of what that would look like. And we decided that we wanted to move forward with that. But I knew that in order for us to be the best pediatric office, I obviously needed to be a pediatric specialist and get my certificate, have the ability to go to children's hospitals and like do the most advanced cases. So after 5 years of working as a general dentist, I decided to apply to pediatric residencies. And same sort of thing. We like, you don't get this opportunity that often to like move and start your life over. And so we were like, where would be somewhere that would be awesome, that we would love to be. Tim grew up in the mountains. I love like the mountains and just being outdoors. So we applied all over the place. And I sort of like, not a joke, but like kind of like thought about Alaska and I was like, we'll apply to Alaska. I've heard the good things about that program. And I think it'd be like maybe cool to live there. And so I went on my interview and was just so impressed with the faculty and the program there. And then just Tim and I became like obsessed with this like thought of living in Alaska too, or like, how cool would that be? And so I ended up ranking them #1 because they had just a great program. And I thought that, we just thought it'd be so cool to live there for a couple of years. So got into the Alaska program. We sold our huge Texas house, like literally sold everything we owned, bought a 5th wheel and moved into this we went from like 4,000 square feet to 420 square feet and like just anything that we only kept the stuff that could fit in the 5th wheel, including our 2 100-pound dogs. And like took 2 months off and we RV'd across the country from Texas to Alaska. And just like, it was the coolest trip. I just like, can't recommend that enough. If you ever get the opportunity to like take a couple months up and RV to Alaska. We were like the youngest people in all the RV parks. We would like get out and like people could not believe the size of our dogs, like getting out of this like tiny RV. So we moved up to Alaska. I started my pediatric residency in 2018. And so we lived in Alaska for 2 years. Tim ended up quitting his corporate job when we were decided to move to Alaska. And he basically spent those 2 years studying the business of dentistry. Where should we start this practice? How does that look? Like, what are the financial ramifications? Like, how do we get the financing to do this? We looked for a long time to just like buy an existing practice because we thought that, that's going to be the easiest thing to start out and just like have something that's already organized. There was nothing for sale in the areas that we were interested in. And so we decided to start the practice from scratch. And so like my whole last year of residency, it was kind of like, we were figuring that out, going through, spending months, like figuring out the name, figuring out what our core values are, what is our mission, what's our vision, how do we articulate this business plan? And so, by the time we were ready, we had this 30-page business plan, a 20-page marketing plan. We had all of this like ready to go as soon as I was done. After picking, I think we had like 10 cities that we looked at. Tim had this like insane Excel spreadsheet of like literally 100 lines of like all the demographics and everything. And Austin, we loved visiting Austin when we lived in Dallas. And we just said, we'd only been here once or twice, but we kind of we picked Austin and that area, Buda, which is where our first practice is, really kept popping up as like one of the fastest growing areas in the Austin area, just lots of young families and really a need for a pediatric dentist like me there. And so picked Buda as our primary first location, moved down here. June of 2020 or July of 2020, and the practice was under construction when we got down here. And so then we opened the first office September of 2020 in Buda, bought a second location that was an existing practice in July of 2021. And then we're starting our third office this upcoming fall.
Very
Oh
cool.
my
The whole Alaska experience, and that's where I first met
Yes.
all of you. And to Tim's credit, that was a total shot out of the blue. He just called me one day, and I didn't know him, and he had I guess you guys had stumbled across our stuff along the way, and he goes, "I'm Tim Otto, and I'm in Alaska, and here's what we're doing, and here's what I need to know." And then he just started firing questions at me.
Yep.
And
Sounds about right.
oh yeah, he's amazing. He just gets after it, which is awesome.
Yep.
So in your context today, for starters, your practice, and you've alluded to this, what makes Kids Tooth Team different? What are the things that you planned when you're here in Dallas that you were going to do different now that you've realized in your practice in Austin?
Right. So much about the customer service aspect is really what I wanted to change. I wanted families to come in and feel like, they were an extension of our family, that they were welcome. Every parent that walks in, they get greeted with a coffee or a water, a nice smile, smiling at them. Our waiting room is really tiny because we didn't want parents waiting an hour. And like some of these practices that I worked at, literally they'd be waiting an hour, hour and a half. And that's just not the customer service that we wanted to provide. And so we were very purposeful in how we built our schedules so that people weren't waiting to see us. We want to be respectful of people's time. They get back, all the kids have Bluetooth headphones that, they can pick whatever movie out they want to watch. The office is really like just subdued, calm colors. Kids are so perceptive to their surroundings and the things around them that we were just really mindful when we were building out the physical space of like every little detail of how it would feel to a family and to a child. We try our best. Insurance is, like the nightmare of dentistry, but we have a whole staff member dedicated to being able to provide parents with the most accurate quote and estimate. And that was really important to us because we've been surprised with medical bills that like no one told us about. And we just got them in the mail and like got our credit run because of, and just things that we didn't want that to happen to our families. We want them to be knowledgeable about what their benefits are, what their insurance coverage is, and no one can be perfect because insurance is just like its own thing, but we really try and just articulate that to parents and help them understand what their benefits are. And I just feel like taking that little bit extra time has really, gone a long way for those families. Just not we don't quadruple book kids. We stress the importance of like our families being on time. You guys have helped us a lot, like build these systems on, like pull out your cell phone when we're scheduling an appointment. Let's make sure that we can make these times. We really try and stress, like cancellations aren't okay. And, just kind of building that culture in the practice. For us, it was building our core values, I think was maybe the best thing that we did before we opened the practice, because when we were looking for team members, we really looked for people who already, fit in with our core values. And when something's not going as expected in the office or with a team member, being able to relate back to that and say, we said, cleanliness or whatever it is one of our core values. These are the things that we're not doing to live up to that. That's like made the biggest difference as far as like how we've been different in building our culture at Kids Tooth Team, and really investing in our people. We pay for 75% of our dental assistants PPO health insurance. We give them 18 days paid time off. We want them to be, take on as much or as little as they want to take on. So our team members who really want to grow and grow in our leadership chain, like we give them the tools that they need to do that, so that, our hope is obviously they stay with us throughout their careers. So wanted to make it really different from the patient perspective, but also internally, from the associates that we hire to our dental assistants to like all of the team members. We wanted to build careers for people, not just have someone, passing through at an hourly rate and go on to the next thing in a year. And we've been really lucky to retain most of my dental assistants that started with us 2 years ago are still on our team and are working their way up the leadership. And that makes a big difference for patients too. They want to come in and see the same people every time. They don't want this like chaos of all these new people all the time coming in. And that was something that we weren't sure as we expanded how we replicate that and keep that in each individual office, but been really lucky to find some team members that had, share our values and our vision for what Kids Who Theme is going to be to help us make that different.
Man, I love Dr. Otto. I love how you started with customer service is the top, but then it's like this circle, like without you're investing in your team, that it just doesn't happen. And it's just such a neat, yeah.
It's, you have to, like, your team is, that's how you invest in your team, and then they invest in your patients. And like, that's, it's kind of like the Disney model, and there's like books, but it's so true, because getting them invested and feeling like this is their office just as much as it's mine. Then it's just a natural progression that they treat your patients that way too, and help them have a good experience, because I'm only with them a little part of the time. It's all the other things. It's how they check out, how they're greeted, how my dental assistants are interacting with them that really make up the bulk of that experience. And so that they're just so important and vital to making that happen.
We would be missed though. You mentioned all the things, parent education, beverages, kids play area, but you left out therapy dogs. So there's dogs in your practice.
Yeah, gosh, I wish my dogs were well behaved enough to like be the actual therapy dogs.
So they're not your dogs.
No, we've been trying to hire like an external company so that someone else can bring their well-behaved dogs and do like therapy dogs in our office. But yeah, that's my long-term goal. I want like one Friday a month to be the therapy dog day, so that, like, parents know in advance there's gonna be dogs in the office if anyone doesn't want to have. But like, how fun would that be if you were a kid and this golden retriever came to like take you back to your chair, an appointment, and yeah, this is like my dream, is just to have like dogs and cute kids all day long in the office.
Well, that is a very common thing, back to the children's hospital involvement. All of the children's hospitals we're involved in, they all have therapy dogs.
Yep.
I think that the winner Phoenix Children's do. I think they have 50 of them.
Yeah, they have so many dogs.
Yeah, not smile
everywhere. Yeah.
We'll bring our dogs to like the marketing events, and I'll post on Instagram, like, come stop by and say hi. And I'll post a picture like me and the dogs, and like 10 or 15 patients will show up and be like, we love you, but we came to say hi to your dogs. And they just love kids.
Oh, good. Talk to us about the community outreach, because I think this has been a very, very ambitious piece, nonprofit that you all have started to serve the greater community. So tell us the backstory there.
This just so amazing. Again, this was like maybe in my head something I thought we would do in 20 years, but Tim's like, this is happening and we're doing them. I'm figuring this out. But yeah, basically when we were in Alaska, we were always sort of intrigued by the idea of like a mobile outreach van. During my residency in Alaska, I really, you hear about a geographic barrier to care. You don't realize like the extent of that until you move somewhere like Alaska, and there's this actual true geographic barrier to care. And these kids have to get flown in on a plane to come see me at the hospital to get their dental treatment taken care of. We knew we're moving to Texas, where like those kind of barriers don't exist, but there's still, even 30 minutes outside of our office, kids who have never been to the dentist, who will come to drive an hour away to see me, and have, facial swellings, they'll have abscesses. So there's even in a city like Austin, where you think there'd be a lot of access, people are just not always, getting the care that they need. So anyway, we obviously love RVs. Tim's grown up with like rigs and RVs and everything. So the thought of like a mobile RV dental clinic was super intriguing to us. So when we were in Alaska, Tim flew down to Orlando to go to a mobile dental conference and like learn about, how people start these RV clinics and what that looks like. He mentioned our interest in that to Burkhardt, the company that was helping us build out the office. And they let us know that they actually service all the mobile RVs for St. David's Foundation here in Austin. And they're like, oh, we'd love to set you up with them just so you can talk to them and like pick their brain about like what it's like to have an operating dental RV, what that looks like. So Tim reached out to them, started talking to them. And one of their fleet managers who manages all their RVs, Eddie, was like, actually every year, a couple of years, we donate one of our vans to a nonprofit organization. And he's like, you guys should apply or like look into that. And like, that was all Tim needed to like, get everything going. We flew down from Alaska to meet with the whole team, let them know our interest in the van, get to tour like a school and a facility where they had the van, and really just get to meet their whole team. Dr. Shaili Gupta, who's become a mentor of mine and is just wonderful. She's the whole dental director for the whole St. David's program and foundation. So long story short, we applied February of 2020 for this van. Everything got delayed, and they were planning to donate that year in 2020. But obviously with just COVID, things just, everything kind of fell to the wayside for a little bit, but we were in constant communication with them, hoping to get this van donated to us so that we could, formally start this nonprofit. December 2021, we finally got the van donated last December. During this whole time, we had been working on our nonprofit foundation, which we named Kids Tooth Team Outreach. It took us about 6 months to just get the nonprofit designation, get all that paperwork and that process going, and finally got the van donated in December. We got it wrapped with our logo, but the whole van, 2 operatories, fully functional, sterile unit, like literally everything that you can do pretty much in my office, you can do on this dental van, aside from like general anesthesia appointments. We got a nitrous tank donated, so I can actually have nitrous oxide on the van, which helps me like be able to do some of those harder procedures for kiddos that, some of the other vans and programs just don't have the opportunity to necessarily do. So we started the nonprofit, got the van. We had our first treatment days on the van where we took it to a school actually last week. And so we picked a school in Dale, or like Caldwell County, Texas, in Lockhart School District, and got to we screened, I think 70 kids just in the schools, took some intraorals. I picked 30 of those kids who looked like they were the most in need from that screening day. And then we ended up seeing, I think 24, 25 students over 2 days on the van. I did one day, and another dentist in town who's wonderful and volunteered her time, Dr. Strickland, helped me do the other day. So we had 2 days on the van. We did over $25,000 worth of free dental treatment. We took out like 8 abscess teeth, got to do a bunch of crowns, and just got to do, some really incredible work. And so this is like the very first stages of it. We're so excited to see this grow. Our dream is that this is in full-time operation. We want to go to schools. This summer, we're going to serve a local women and children's shelter. So seeing the children that are living in this shelter, help them at least get their cleanings, exams, some minor treatment that they need. And just a way for us to give back to the community that's been like just so wonderful to us. And I've always been interested in a public health outreach initiative. And so to see this come to life like so early on in just this process is just incredible. And we're so excited to see it grow and see where this takes us.
And one other piece of that is just share real quick about the undergrads that are part of this whole initiative. This is really cool.
Yes, I can. Yeah. So that, again, pre-dental students, especially during COVID, I just feel like they haven't had the opportunity to do the shadowing, get out and meet some dentists. So as soon as we knew that we had this outreach program going, we immediately reached out to the pre-dental students here in Austin at UT Austin. I'd given some lectures to them just about pediatric dentistry beforehand. So we had some connections there, and we let them know, like, we want you guys to be involved in this process. Our dream would be that you guys run this whole thing. You help us staff the van. You help us, there's some great programs that you introduced us to, Steve, in San Diego that already have a program like this set up. And so get these pre-dental students some leadership experience, get them some interaction with dentists and patients. And so I think we had over 25 pre-dental students volunteering. There's like a 6-to-1 pre-dental to like patient ratio. There's like so many of them there helping us. They were running to get the kids from the classrooms, help me chart notes, being involved in the treatment process. Nice. And and they organized all of the schedule ahead of time, got all the consent forms scanned in, super vital part of like this whole process. And so that's going to grow a ton too. And I would love this to be like a prestigious volunteer opportunity for them where they really get this experience being in public health, treating pediatric patients, getting to, have a mentorship relationship with dentists so that they just are more knowledgeable going into dental school. So I think it's going to be a super beneficial two-way street of them helping us and then them also getting some great experience too.
Wow. It's such a cool deal. There is no dental school in Austin.
Correct.
So this is the pre-dental club at the University of Texas at Austin, which is
like 200 of them. It's crazy.
There's
like so many. Yeah.
Huge.
Nice.
All right. So going back, here's your the big question.
Yes. The big one.
Think back to when you were a dental student and a young dentist. What do you wish someone would have told you? Or what would you tell that group now that would have been helpful if someone had shared with you?
Right. I talk about this a lot, but yeah, just that it's okay to create your own path that hasn't been created yet. And I just feel like all of us, all I knew about dentistry was what my one dentist growing up did. I didn't, like I said, didn't have any family members in dentistry. I thought that as a dentist, you're just gonna like work for someone else or maybe own your own practice and, work 4 days a week. And I don't know, I guess golf on Wednesdays or whatever a dentist did. But there was so much more that I was interested in. Like, I'm interested in leadership. I'm interested in community service. I wanted to do so many different things. And I just felt like I, as a dental student, would have to pick one of those. Either I go into public health or I go into private practice or I, go into academia. And so you just knowing that I had the option when I got out to, I teach dental students. I get involved with the community. I'm a leader in our community. I'm a leader in the dental associations. I can own my own practice and start a nonprofit, and you don't have to do all this yourself. I could not do all of this by any means without having the right partner and having Tim, my husband, helping, and then hiring the right team to support us. So you're not going to have to take on all of this yourself, but being able to pursue your passions. It's just something that I didn't realize that I would be able to do all of these things, and I still don't know like how we're going to be able to do all these things, but knowing that it's okay to figure it out and kind of think outside the box. And really, Tim taught me, like, I would never have applied for that pediatric dentist job opportunity as a general dentist, because I was like, I'm a general dentist. We can't apply to a pediatric job. And Tim's like, what's the harm in you applying? Like, the worst that they can say is no. And then they didn't say no, they hired me. And, and then starting a nonprofit, I'm like, we can't start a nonprofit and run through a dental practice. And he's like, well, why not? Like, if we can't do it, then who can, And so it's just like not limiting yourself to what you think you're capable of, like really just putting yourself out there. I'm so glad that I did, because, and just sometimes you're just going to have to like figure it out as you go along, which is really hard for some of us OCD type A dentist people, because I wanted everything on the outreach program to be like, I wanted checklists laminated and I wanted everything like completely organized. And Tim's like, this is never going to happen. Like, we're going to start this in 2 years. If you make it like in your brain, how this is going to be, it's like, we just got to go and figure it out. And I think that's just so much of life that, I needed someone to tell me that it's okay. You can figure it out as you go along. It doesn't all have to be perfect from the very start. And I'm glad that I listened to him, and that's what we've been doing.
Very cool. That is incredible, Dr. Otto. Is there anything that you would do different? Is there anything that you would reverse or change?
No, not like, sometimes I wish I'd gone straight into pediatrics. Like, I just feel like I could have. But if I hadn't had those 5 years of working as a general dentist and like trying to figure all of this out on my own and come up with my own philosophies of care and customer service and how I just don't think I would have just done whatever my faculty said, this is how pediatric dentists do it. Instead, I came into it and already had all these thoughts and ideas of how it's been working for me and how I can make it better. So, I tell dental students all the time, like, you don't have to go straight in, like, you can go work for a little bit, figure out what you love, and then go back to residency. And so, in some ways that could have potentially been easier, but I wouldn't have traded all these experiences I've had working at all these different places, going through a couple of residencies. I would never have been able to do all the stuff that I'm going to do now if I hadn't had all those experiences and had to think for myself on all, like clinical and practice management, and make myself pursue the things that I didn't know about so that I could learn more about them, instead of someone just telling me what it was I was supposed to think.
Nice.
Very cool. Alex, thank you for sharing with us today. Fascinating journey and a lot more to come, obviously. And congratulations on 10 under 10.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure there's going to be 20 under 20 and a 15.
Yes,
And
I wish I was 20 again.
but love the philosophy and everything that you and Tim have done to date, and your commitment to doing good and doing that while you're building your practice as well. So congratulations, and thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experience today for the benefit of others.
Yes, thank you guys
Thank
so
you,
much,
Alex.
and all of your help helping us get there too. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks for joining the live stream today. We will be back with you next week with another packed show. Have a great one.